Hello lovelies and welcome to my channel. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is a browse through of the Burda August 2024 issue, and as it is August here in the north of England, despite our rather unpredictable weather, I am spoiled for choice in terms of flowers. I have these really lovely, let me just put my pencil away, these lovely giant daisies. They are so beautiful. They've really come into full form, and some of them are as big as the palm of my hand. And I have a new rose bush in my garden that has just been prolific, and it's called Ferdinand Pichard, and it is this beautiful multicolor stripe rose. And let me tell you, it smells absolutely gorgeous. It has got a really beautiful quintessential rose fragrance. I love it. And then my Japanese anemones are blooming, and oh, they are so gorgeous. They're on these tall stems and they just sort of move with the wind, and the pollinators love them. So there's a constant buzzing of pollinators on them. And then I couldn't resist getting these ones because I love these fuchsias. Just look at those pretty colors. Look at that. So lovely. It's like it's wearing a dress, and you have like I just love it. So wherever you are in the world, I am sending you this posy of summer flowers that are currently in my garden right now, and it's all pink and white because I love pink. Right, so we're gonna pop the flowers over there. I've got the issue here, which I've actually had for about 10 days now, but it's just been so busy I haven't had time to get on to doing it. There were a few repeats, and thankfully it technically counts as I've sewn something from this issue, because one of the repeat patterns I had already made before. So let's get into it. So I'm using the English issue as usual. I thought on the balance of things, it does have a lot of really lovely separates, and you can see there's a lot more separates, and it a lot more than there is dresses. So great for capsule wardrobe building. And so first off, we've got this biker vest. So a lot of edgy details if you like to go for that classic edgy look. So the zippers and the buckles, a lot of hardware on it, and here it's been paired in a checkered wool mix fabric, and it looks really quite lovely in terms of the styling as well and how dramatic it is. So that was a good one, and that one goes up to size 46. And then we've got we'll start off over here with this simple top that has got the rectangular insert, which just gives a little bit more interest here and gives a slightly cowl like feel on this particular one. And I've seen these before in the 60s styles, but they tend to then have a grown on funnel neckline, which I've always thought was quite interesting. But you've got some cap sleeves over there, and it does have some shaping in the form of these neck darts and these bust darts. I'll be interested to see what this looks like within the Burda community. It's been made in sort of like a black shiny fabric, which I don't think does really well for it. Yeah, but I'm keen to see what is done with this one. And then we have a simple top, which I'm sure I've seen before, and it has shirring for the neckline. Yeah, it's not going to be fun to have that against your neck, in my opinion. And then we've got a drop shoulder over here, lengthening into a sleeve with some nice tapering at the wrist. I've never really done shirring around the neckline. I just don't think it would be that comfortable. I have a very sensitive neck, and the idea of having those lines of shirring right up against me, I'm not a big fan of that idea. So it's probably a pass for me. And then we have a simple shift dress with some drop sleeves. The indication on the line drawing is that there is some bust shaping. However, looking at the picture on here, I'm not getting a sense that there is any bust shaping at all. And we have a delightful bow tie on here, which is integrated. So you're basically limiting the options that you have. You're always going to have to do a bow tie. So if you do love bow ties but you don't want to do a pussy bow, then that is definitely the way to go. And then we have the handkerchief hem skirt. Nothing groundbreaking there. Would be lovely in a viscose fabric, and something very floaty, a silky satin fabric would also work really well. This skirt caught my eye, and that's because I've been really loving the 320/24 skirt that I made, which is very similar in style. So midi length going over there, center front seam line where the slit to allow for you to be able to walk is. But unlike the one that I made before, which had patch pockets, this one has got some hip yoke pockets, and then it has got a fly front. So I do think that it's got quite some interesting details. I can see this one being quite popular. However, I'm not a big fan of the stars on the back here. I'd just be sticking with simple pockets, personally speaking. Okay, we have another version of the skirt again, but this time it's been made in some wool mix checkered fabric that has a very bold check, a very bold pattern on there. And the waistband has been cut on the bias, and they've added some embellishments with some fraying on the waistband. I think that that does add to an untidy look on the waist. I would just be using it straight without doing any of the fraying detail that they have done on there. I do think that this would be quite a popular one. Now, on the line drawing, when I look at it, it seems to be that there is, I think this is a faux fly front, and then you have a waistband. I would just be eliminating the faux fly front on here and just going straight without it. So I have a feeling that this would be quite a popular one. It does seem like it would be a really great staple to have in your wardrobe. I've certainly found that with my skirt from the March issue. I've been able to wear it with a lot of things. Moving over, we've got blouse number 117, which is an interesting take on the bomber jacket, but it doesn't have the usual hem that you would have on the bomber jacket, and it doesn't have the usual cuffs. It's like they've been taken away. We still have the zipper, and we still have the pockets, which I'm not necessarily sure these are functional. Yeah, I like the neckline though. I think that the neckline is very lovely and neat, and I like how they've made it into a two-piece set on here. Just increases the level of sophistication. And then we've got the cowl neck dress. Personally, I can't do cowls, and I think I can appreciate them on people that they suit, but you get all of that drape right at the front there, which for me, with my broad shoulders and angular features, you try to put in something that's drapey and curvy. There's like this big fight going on, and my the eye struggles to figure out what it's supposed to settle on. And it took me a long while, unfortunately, to realize that cowls were not for me. It was quite heartbreaking, but it explained why I'd made several cowl neck dresses and tops, but I just never could quite feel quite right in them. But we do have some shaping in terms of the gathering at the waistline, and it looks like they've used a polyester fabric to make this. I'd have thought jersey would work quite well with this, like that slinky jersey fabric. Interesting belt choice. Okay, moving on. We've got, I think I'd call this the standard Burda winter wear. So separately, that's another thing that quite surprised me about this issue, the amount of almost a wintry autumn wear. And I was just thinking, I'm not ready to think about that Burda. This is the August issue. August is still summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So that was just a tiny little pet peeve of mine. But yeah, so we've got the roll neck top, which I'm so not ready to be thinking about the roll neck. It's only been in the last 4 weeks that I've actually been able to expose my arms and wear short sleeves. So I'm not ready for this, Burda. And then we've got the tapered neckline here with the roll neck, and then we've got the tapered sleeve cuff, and it looks like from the line drawing that this goes into the waist, so it's not quite as voluminous. A bit hard to tell because she is seated, so we don't get a really good idea of what that silhouette is like. And then over here we've got another jersey top, so quite thick, quite warm, and it does have a little bit of a slit on here. It's like, what do you want to be? Are you a summer top or an autumn top? Because if you are an autumn top, why would I want a vent over here where like cold air would pierce through to my heart? no thank you, no thanks. Right, moving on. Oh, this I loved, guys. This to me was my precious. I thought that this is absolutely gorgeous. I love the traditional classic tailoring look. I love the fabric that they have used on there. It's a really solid looking, quality looking fabric, but also quite durable. I like the fit of the jacket. You can tell that it is very well made, and so many lovely, wonderful details. The stitching with the red for this buttonhole here and for the buttonholes there, and then you have the red piping, and then using the red thread to sew on the buttons. I think you could look at this and get a lot of ideas for how to elevate some of your sewing, and truly does look like a masterpiece. So this was one of the things that I was just like, yep, definitely would consider making this. And I love how it's been styled with the belt over here. And I do think that this would be such a versatile jacket to wear, and well worth the time spent in to create it. And this was also a very interesting article about the philosophy of the designer of this particular pattern. And I thought it was quite interesting. I normally don't get quite into some of the articles that they do, because sometimes they do sound as if they're AI generated, but this one seemed to be a little bit interesting. Okay, now we move on to the section that does have some suspected repeat patterns, definitely. So we have the pleated sweatpants, which to me they sit too low. That crotch length there is not going to make for comfortable sweatpants. Sweatpants need to have a nice long crotch length so that they really are comfortable on the waistline, and you don't want to be bending over and exposing your back. It's very, very uncomfortable. So not a big fan of this particular style here. These ones are more like it. You've got a longer crotch length. These ones are going to be more comfortable, and so they've got the elasticated casing over there, and they have some gigantic pockets, which is pretty awesome. A bit of a flare, not a big fan for me, because I do tend to trip on things that are too wide at the bottom of the leg, particularly if it's a drapey fabric. And I know I do need to work on slowing down a bit and not always being in a rush. But yeah, this is another repeat. I think I've seen this in a January 2019 issue, I think. And then over here, we have this top that has got the pleated sleeve, of which I've actually seen quite a few of these in some high street shops that seem to just have the loungewear, which seems to have taken over these last few years. It's like it's everywhere. All of these oversized loungewear sets that are in beige and in another shade of beige. And I've noticed that recently some of them have just been trying to add just a little bit more interest, and they have been having sort of like these puffy pleated sleeves. So that was quite interesting to see. And then this is another repeat, which I definitely traced. I think this was January 2019. I don't know, that's the date that I have. But it's got this gigantic neckline. So this was, I traced this before I realized that gigantic necklines didn't suit me. And I made another Burda pattern that had an even bigger roll neck. And that just put me off really big roll necks ever since I tried that. So yeah, but I think that for those that have the body type to suit this, it can look very elegant a la model over here. And then we have a blazer jacket, but it's made in Ponte Roma. So it's going to be very comfortable, though it doesn't have quite that structured, sleek, suave, chic look, because you're just never going to get that with Ponte. It's very soft and very cuddly. So I'm not necessarily convinced that of all the great uses that you can use Ponte for, that making this sort of structured blazer actually works. That's what I think, and trying to put in all of the tailoring components. And then we have the sheath dress number 1 to 5. So hey, quick question, right? When Burda repeat the patterns, I've actually wondered about this. So the first time that I made this dress, this was in the January 2019 issue. And the pattern was Burda 1 2019 number. I can't remember what the number is. And then now it's been re-released as Burda 8 2024 number 125. Doesn't that confuse? I mean, which one is which then? What's the nomenclature that they're going to use? Let me know if you know how this works in the description box. In the comments, not in the description box. But yeah, I'm quite curious about that actually, because quite a few of the patterns they're repeating I have made before. And it's like, what do I label them as now? And then again, this dress, I think it was also in the same issue as this sweater dress here. And it's got the shirring at the waist over here and raglan sleeves. So lovely fabric though. I do like the... Oh no, they used sweatshirt fabric. I hadn't realized that. I thought it might have been a crepe. Wow. Sweatshirt fabric, and they put shirring on the waist. How is that going to work? And there's only, what, about less than 10 lines of shirring. I mean, I don't think that shirring is going to be able to create that waist silhouette on sweatshirting fabric. That's a tough call, is that one. Okay, and then we've got some lovely examples of summer dresses, beautiful summer dresses. You see, this is the disconnect that I had with this. So you can see here they're talking about holidays and style, because here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're mostly on the summer holidays. We're just beginning to get summer going. And all of this shows you that. But then the actual patterns in the issue, they're all autumn, fall, winter styles. So it's like, does not comprehend. And then there's this really cute blouse. This caught my eye because I do love the structure of the blouse, except for the bow. I don't do very well with bows around the front of my neckline like this. It's too fussy. It's really fussy. I made a bow blouse once, and I found that I always ended up untying it, and then I would just sort of tuck it in to the shirt itself so that I didn't have things sort of like dangling from me. So for me, this is lovely without this. The other thing that I would do when I make it, I feel a disconnect between the elasticated cuff and the placket, the neatness of the placket and the top stitching, etc. I feel that those don't go together. I would be adding myself a cuff on here, and I feel that that would be a lot more congruent. And even when I look at the picture of it, everything else is so lovely, beautiful, structured, tailored, and then you've got an elasticated cuff, so not quite yeah. Anyway, little rant over. So I like this without the bow. I'd just be reducing that to either a normal collar or just a mandarin collar top. And then we have this really beautiful, gorgeous, classic dress over here. And this is just beautiful in its simplicity. So you've got the extended sleeves, which works so beautifully in the viscose blend fabric that they have used over here. And then you've got this elegant back neckline. And I think that, to me, this looks like a really great evening gown outfit. And obviously the skirt is tapered down, and so the slits are pretty high so that you would be able to walk in them. But I think it's a really beautiful classic dress, and you could easily make this day wear by, instead of making it straight, right, let's cut a skirt on the bias just like that, and that would be fabulous. And maybe sew this down and add a back panel if you didn't want to show your bra strap, because that would be my issue, the bra strap on here and all that. And I would just be adding in a panel just a little bit up here, and then it's lovely. Or just raising up the meeting point of that. But really beautiful, and I can see this being a popular pattern. Alas, not for me. I have other sewing plans, my friends. And then we have this really interesting top with a gigantic bell sleeves, so making much of a statement. So one thing that I didn't like about this lady in red section, right, it's all very high conceptual art, I suppose, but my theory about sewing magazines is that they have a twofold mission. Number one is obviously to provide sage sewing patterns so that they are good value, because you're getting a lot of sewing patterns in one magazine. The other thing is that they're supposed to provide some sewing inspiration that shows us what the pattern looks like realistically, hence why the photo shoots are very useful. And they're also supposed to inspire the sewist for you to be able to look at something maybe that you might not necessarily be interested in, and it's shown in a way that makes you pause and think, hang on, I'm not usually interested in this, but oh, this, the way that is presented, I could consider that. And who knows, it might take you down a path where you discover a new silhouette that works for you. So I think that that's what a sewing magazine is supposed to do. So I really do not understand why you would have this red on a red background. To me, it just feels like it's basic photography 101. If you're showing off a product, it has to be very clear, the demarcation between the background and what the product is. And I really didn't like this red on red, because I struggled to actually see it. And I know maybe I'm the one that needs an eye test, but I just really felt like they missed the boat on this, that had this been another color, and this could really stand out. I mean, if you look at this one, right, this one looks a lot nicer because you can actually see it easily, properly, whereas this, you've just got that. But anyway, that's like my little pet peeve. I liked this dress a lot more, and that's also because I could see it a lot easier than these things that have got the red background. So it's something that I just, for the life of me, I did not understand. Anyway, little rant aside, let me know what you think about having the background in the same color. Maybe it's an artistical concept that is high art, and I need to learn more about high art, but I did struggle with understanding why that would be done in that way. I don't think it's the best way to showcase the pattern or the details of the pattern. Right, moving on. Midi dress number 106 definitely caught my eye because it is a dress and it's in a fit and flare style, which I do tend to favor a lot. I love the interesting neckline because it is a little bit asymmetrical, which would just add some of that soft gamine interest that the Kibi style ID always talks about, the soft gamine. It needs to have some, some asymmetry somewhere. I love the styling up here with the black belt and the black bag. I'm sorry, I will never ever get on board with the socks and shoes like this. When I went to primary school, this is how we had to wear our socks, and I will not do that as a grown woman. So, ta-da! From here, absolutely gorgeous, on point, and with the red lip. Very cute bag over here. Okay, and then we've got this really stunning, elegant, long line coat over here, which has got some of that asymmetrical detail with this dart like arrow welt pocket, and then you've got this very neat minimalist collar, very minimalist because it's got a snap fastener underneath there, and so everything just looks very slick, very streamlined, and very nice. And you could very easily, if you didn't want it as a long coat, you can very easily just make it into a blazer, and I think that that's quite lovely. It's got a very futuristic vibe about it. Like I could expect to see this in a one of those films like, say, Gattaca, which is supposed to be set in a future where everybody's all about minimalism. So quite lovely, and it's been made in a red, in a lovely sumptuous fabric. And there we go, red on red. What are we supposed to see here? Okay. We have wide leg trousers with an extra wide waist over here. They seem to look nice. They seem to look quite classic, which is quite nice. And then we've got that vest from the beginning, but this time we don't have all of the hardware. Before we had the zips and the stud fasteners just to give it that edginess, and this one doesn't have that. It's very smooth. It's very almost couture because you've got the roundedness of the hems from because when you're doing with couture sewing, you don't sort of have that super pressed look. You leave things to be a little bit rounded, and this is a thicker wool mix fabric which has got a slight surface texture. And it's a shame they didn't play around with it and have this welt have the, so you can see the surface texture is going this way. It would have been so awesome if this welt pocket had been going that way as well. That's how I would have played it, but it's only a minor, tiny little point, but quite lovely. Right, this is my other thing to make from this issue actually, but not now. Come September, when I need to refresh my roll tops, I will be doing this one, top number 102, which is a repeat, and I've got several fabrics that I need to make these out of. So that's my sewing plan when we come to winter, but I'm not ready to start thinking about winter now. Simple plaid dress with some pin tuck details over here, and then it's got a most impractical, if I may say so, bow at the back. Yeah, you'd have to be really good at being able to tie it to make it look this nice, but cute styling with a little hat over there. Okay, and then we've got another version of that blouse, the other one that I quite liked, without the bow detail at the front. And again, there's just something so disconcerting about having tailoring over here and then the elasticated cuffs. Definitely worth just putting in the extra effort to just add that cuff good and proper. And then we've got some really long this is so long-legged. There was something just a little bit weird about the perspective on this particular photo shoot that I couldn't quite understand, because looking at the line drawing, these do not look like they're high-waisted, but they seem to be high-waisted, and they do seem to be very long, because she would be a very tall model, as most models are, and she's in these gigantic platforms, and these are going all the way down. Interesting patch pockets. I'm not sure how useful those would be. The other thing that I thought was actually quite useful in this issue is the rain jacket. I thought that this is quite useful. There's a place that I normally check out regularly for fabrics, and they currently have a lot of really beautiful looking water resistant fabrics. And I gotta say, I was tempted when I saw this. I was very tempted. So this definitely got a potentially possible future make. And then we have this super stylish cropped jacket over here. It does seem to indicate that it's got some inseam pockets, but I'm not sure how useful those would be. I don't think these cropped jackets generally need to have pockets in them, because the nature of them being cropped, just it's a bit of an awkward place to have your hands hang out, because what else is a pocket but a place for your hands to hang out in and for using other stuff as well. So yeah, I'm not too sure whether it would need to have the pockets, but lovely tapestry fabric. But again, it is so autumnal, and even with the styling, you've got the thick chunky cardigan. I mean, I'm not ready for this. I am not ready for this. So this is what we have. Oh, they also had a very interesting story about Lisa Corti and how much she loves color, and there was just like some really beautiful colorful things, which again I thought was quite interesting. And so there we go. This is our Burda 8 2024 issue. Definitely two things. This is a basic, a wardrobe basic that I definitely need to make, but not now. When we come to autumn, that's going to be on the plans. I love this. I would love to make this for autumn or for winter at some point, but this is not as much of a need as this is. This is like my frivolous make. If I had all the time in the world, I would probably make that. So that's all that I have for today, lovelies. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you've stayed until the end, I really do appreciate you. You are this beautiful fuchsia, or you're this Ferdinand Pichard rose. Beautiful, unique, wonderful, rockstar, and awesome. Do let me know what you're going to be making in this issue, or you're going to give it a miss, and I will see you in the comments box down below. Until next time, lovelies, happy sewing.